From the 1011 Now streaming studio in Lincoln, Nebraska, this is the REPORT Husker Show, sponsored by Fat Dog's Convenience Store.
Welcome in, everyone. Bill Rentschler alongside Sports Director Kevin Sjuts in the 1011 Now streaming studio. Another edition of the REPORT Husker Show brought to you by Fat Dog's Convenience Store. And Kevin, it was pretty slow through most of the day today, and then shortly before 5 o'clock, big news comes down from Husker Athletics. Husker volleyball coach John Cook retiring after 25 years.
Yeah, John Cook says it's been a great run. It's been more than a great run. It's been an elite run. It's been sensational. He is on the Mount Rushmore of Nebraska coaches, regardless of sport, and they can start building that statue outside the Devaney Center anytime.
883 and 176.
That's combined between Wisconsin and Nebraska.
Yeah, and just at Nebraska, 722 and 103 for a record over these past 25 years. 4 national championships, on down the line, the Big 12 titles, the Big 10 titles. You said it, he's on the Mount Rushmore. This is just a huge seismic shift for the Husker Athletic Department, losing John Cook.
Everybody knew that John Cook, it's not uncommon for those when's he going to retirement conversations to happen, because he has coached here for 25 years, a very successful 25 years, and everybody wondered, when would be the time that John Cook would step aside. I don't think many people thought that it was going to be on January 29th of 2025. I think people probably would have predicted that John Cook would retire over the next 2 to 5 years. Remember, he signed a contract extension
just last year,
not too long ago, and that ran through the 2029 season. So that gave the fan base a hint that he would be here a little bit longer than a couple more seasons. But this is the time, and curious to find out more. John Cook is going to address the media, reflect on his career tomorrow at the Hawks Championship Center. He's going to have some great stories to tell.
Yeah.
But then also, just visiting with Troy Dannon is going to be fascinating, because hopefully he can give an indication on the timeline of everything, because the announcement of John Cook's retirement was followed 10 minutes later with the announcement of Dani Busboom Kelly hired as Nebraska's volleyball coach. That is very rare that those things come so quickly next to each other.
Yeah, it was one huge news drop followed by another huge news drop. I think most betting people would have said when John Cook retired that Dani Busboom Kelly was going to be the odds-on favorite to be named the next head coach.
Well, it's an absolute no-brainer.
Yeah.
Dani Busboom Kelly played at Nebraska, national champion, captain on the 06 team, and she has proven her coaching prowess away from Nebraska. Turned Tennessee into a legitimate volleyball program, got hired at Louisville, has been there for 8 years, and it's a program that was middle-of-the-road ACC to now contending for national championships every single year. She's been the ABCA National Coach of the Year once. She's coached in 3 Final Fours, 2 national championship matches, including this past December.
Yeah. Is that all? That's a pretty good resume for just a fairly young coach. She's a coach that could be here for, like John Cook, another 25 years.
And her family still lives just south of Lincoln. I'm so incredibly happy, not only for Dani, but her husband Lane, that they get to come back home. Dani's mother and father still live just south of Lincoln. They got the farmland out there, and so Dani's going to be able to have her son grow up where she grew up, and in the gym in which she played and spent so many hours and days as a player, and then as an assistant coach to John Cook.
And we heard Troy Dannon was on Husker Sports Nightly, I believe. He said Jalen Reyes and Kelly Hunter are both going to be remaining on staff. Is that what he said?
That is going to be on Dani's staff for sure.
That's pretty good to keep that staff together. You wondered if they would kind of go their ways or what would happen.
And if you think back a few years ago, Tyler Hildebrand seemed to be like the succession plan for John Cook. And not saying that wouldn't have worked. And when John decided, he kind of doubled down on being Nebraska's coach, and that prompted Tyler to go explore other coaching opportunities. Now he's on the West Coast, and he's a really good coach. But when John kind of reaffirmed that he was going to coach Nebraska volleyball, just think about how this is different. Today's news that John Cook is handing off the program to one of his former players and a homegrown Husker, growing up just outside of Lincoln, compared to handing it off to Tyler Hildebrand. And in the case of Terry Pettit to John Cook, that can work.
Yeah.
And Cook proved
it
that
can work
with the right person, the program can continue its dominance and its trajectory up and continuing to break barriers. But I think that this move, in terms of the fan base, there's a warm and fuzzy element to it, with it being Dani Busboom Kelly to replace the legendary John Cook.
So you mentioned it, but we'll hear from Coach Cook tomorrow. 10 a.m. will be his press conference. We'll stream that live on our platforms. And then February 6th is the introductory press conference for Dani Busboom Kelly. And
Public's
invited.
Yeah, Public's invited to that. That will be at the Devaney Center, and that's going to be a party. And you're going to see Nebraska volleyball fans. You're going to see college volleyball fans. I wouldn't be surprised if you see some players from the Supernovas, Love Omaha. You'll see Dani's family. You'll see Dani's childhood friends. I mean, it is going to be a big old reunion.
And so, I mean, we're still kind of watching, player reaction and, from all the news that's happened over the last couple hours. I mean, are we thinking we're not going to skip a beat here? I mean, I feel like this is going from one great coach just to another great coach, and the engine's just going to keep going with no problem.
Your question is Nebraska going to skip a beat?
That's the question.
So you would have some skepticism about that if it was Coach X, right?
Yeah. This
is Dani Busboom Kelly, who just coached in the national championship. Yeah. And that 1 year wasn't a fluke. She's done it multiple times.
Yeah.
So is there a skipping? Will there be skipping a beat with a coach that's been to the national championship twice over the past 5 years? No. And that's the value of having Dani be the one to replace John Cook. A proven coach, a proven recruiter, knows how to run a program, loves on her players. Players love her. Mm-hmm. I mean, she got Anna DeBeer to come back.
Yeah, she did.
I mean, and Louisville was set up to have a very successful year in 2025.
So the question I was talking about with Danielle before we jumped on is, do you think the TikToks from Coach Cook are now going to be completely done? I know
maybe that's his retirement side hustle.
That could be. I told her I want to see one where John Cook walks out of frame and then Dani Busboom Kelly walks into frame, something like that.
You're not going to get too many TikTok thoughts from me. But Harper Murray, I mean, and that's the one part of Cook's retirement announcement today that surprised me, because you know that John has an affinity for the class that will be juniors this upcoming season. Mm-hmm. And so Harper Murray is going to finish her college volleyball career without John Cook as the head coach, and that's not something I thought would happen.
Yeah. Again, Danielle, when we were talking beforehand, first thing she said is, I thought he would have stayed until she was done.
Yeah.
They have quite the connection again. She went through a lot, and he's helped her every step of the way.
Yeah, but you know what? John Cook has grandkids that live out of state.
Yeah.
And what grandfather doesn't want to be around, one, their children, and two, their grandchildren?
Yeah.
And John loves his grandkids. Yeah. So, being retired allows you to have a lot of freedom in your schedule. But I don't think he's such a visionary and such a busybody. I don't think that this is retirement in its traditional sense with John Cook.
No.
He's not going to sit in his rocking chair and watch 10-11 News Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock.
Roping team or something like that.
I think he's going to stay busy in volleyball, whether it's, being a sounding board for the U.S. national team, or maybe giving advice for the Supernovas or some of the professional leagues, or even just being...
he'd be a really good commissioner for Major League Volleyball or something like that.
That's what I'm saying. I just don't think that John Cook goes dark in the world of volleyball. I think that, he has too much wisdom. He's too admired and respected. I could even see him heading up the, Coaches Association and running that and staying involved with all the coaches across college volleyball.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what the next couple of weeks look like, what the future holds, obviously, for Coach Cook and for Dani Busboom Kelly. Where would you put the statue? Obviously, again, would you put something maybe by the Coliseum and over at Devaney?
Or just do both.
Do both?
I mean,
yeah.
Yeah. What? Yeah.
Why not?
No, it'll be in the Devaney Center.
Yeah.
Maybe Pinnacle Bank Arena if they start to move matches to Pinnacle Bank Arena permanently.
That's true. All right, Kevin, appreciate it. You're obviously going to have more coverage coming up tonight at 10, and we'll obviously follow this.
I tried to debate, what's the most astounding stat with John Cook?
I mean, the win percentage is up there. I mean...
Win percentage, conference championships, attendance, a record, 92,000.
Yeah.
I mean, is that it?
I don't think you can necessarily measure it. I think, again, his fingerprints are all over the explosive growth of volleyball over the last couple of years.
Yes.
And I think that's what he'll be most remembered for.
And that's something we tried to include in our reporting during the 6 o'clock newscast. Not just the numbers, but behind this explosion of volleyball in America is John Cook.
Yeah.
From his players' popularity to empowering them to utilize their name, image, and likeness, to filling a football stadium with more than 92,000 fans for a volleyball match. That is unheard of. But John Cook, continued to, he always said, dream big.
Mm-hmm.
In the case that sometimes phrases can be phony and nothing but lip service, John Cook lived out dream big at every turn of his Nebraska volleyball coaching career.
Yeah, he's going to be remembered far beyond the borders of Nebraska for a long, long time. And yeah, all the numbers, the records, the All-Americans, it all kind of builds into again,
Olympians.
5 Olympians. I heard you name them off. What? Justine Arantes, Jordan Larson, Sarah Pavin. Who else is in there?
Okay, I'm gonna start over for you here.
You do your list.
Jordan Larson, Justine Wong-Arantes, Kayla Banworth, Sarah Pavin, Kelsey Robinson Cook.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, they sent out the press release saying he retired, and it's just paragraph after paragraph after paragraph of accomplishments.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, the list keep going on and on. He is a legend in every sense of the word.
Mm-hmm.
And, I will say this on a personal and editorial note, working with John Cook over the course of my career has been tremendous. He's playful, he's insightful, was always accommodating to us. I've had a number of really great conversations with John Cook off the record and without the cameras rolling and outside of the press conference room. And he always took an interest in me and my family.
Yeah.
And that means a lot. And that's one of the things that makes this job really special and rewarding. You always hear people talk about, it's 3 relationships. And John Cook always made it a point to build a relationship and not just see some of the people in the media as the person behind the camera or the person with the recorder. He would be so playful and joking, and man, that's one thing about John Cook that a lot of people, it's not on this long press release that documents all the successes on the court with his players.
Guy. Just a good person. And
he treated the media with so much respect. And even one time when we walked into Big Ten Volleyball Media Days, he looked right at my camera. He's like, "Oh, big deal, 10-11's here." Just I can give you so many different examples of that.
Yeah.
Where he'd shout out 10-11 at press conferences.
Yeah.
I mean, not that it's all about us, but it's just he acknowledged the coverage. He was thankful for the coverage.
Yeah.
And he valued the relationships. And he would even, if there was somebody in a press conference that he didn't know, he would introduce himself and ask about that person, whether it was a student working for the Daily Nebraskan or somebody that's interning with one of the television stations. He wanted to build relationships.
And he'd call you out, too, if you were wearing the wrong color. I
remember, that's right.
I think calling out a couple people for wearing burnt orange, I remember.
That's right.
So, good person, good guy. And again, doesn't take anything to be nice, so didn't have to do all that, but he did.
Yes.
But he did. So, all right, Kevin, appreciate it. Again, your reaction to all this. Again, huge news day. We'll obviously continue to have coverage as we move over the next several days and several weeks. Press conference tomorrow at 10 for John Cook's retirement. We'll live stream that on 10-11's platforms. And then the Dani Busboom Kelly introductory press conference, I believe that's February 6th. So, appreciate everyone for tuning in, watching. Again, keep it tuned to 10-11, both on air and online, for all of the latest.
You've been listening to the REPORT Husker Show, sponsored by Fat Dog's Convenience Store. Watch, listen, and stream on the 1011 Now app, on YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. For more Husker coverage throughout the week, watch the REPORT on 1011 Sports at 6 and 10 p.m. and download the